But the point, in connection with this book, is that just as any study dealing with racism in the 20th century would have to examine the case of the Jews in Germany, among others, so also must the study take in the case of the Jews and the conversos in Spain and Portugal. This having been said, however, it must be added that the role played by the Jew in this book is not just that of one among several actors in a comparative racial history. For though he disappears from view for long stretches, he is in a sense the main protagonist. This is so not on any grounds of ethnic prejudice or favoritism, but out of artistic and philosophical necessity. I have attempted in this work to penetrate beneath the surfaces of data upon which so many learned works settle, and to achieve an understanding that I will dare to call poetic. There is a constant effort here to perceive realities as much as possible from within, an effort that is facilitated, of course, whenever I can make use of literary records left by the actors themselves. Now, in the case of two of our main characters, the Black and the Indian, such first-hand written material does not really exist from this period. We are forced, for the most part, to adopt the viewpoint of the oppressive but highly articulate white man. But this does not mean we are entirely lacking in literary testimony from the viewpoint of the racial outsider. For in the Jew we have a special case. He is at once one of the dominators and one of the victims. As a European, he has left records as rich as those of the general culture he represents. Indeed, he has done more, for we shall find him taking a central place among the bearers of a vision out of which the American experience first emerged. But, as an outcast, he has given a voice to the otherwise silent sufferers from racial oppression in that epoch. Moreover, what is perhaps the most important point, he represents the sole vehicle whereby the author, a Jew himself, can legitimately place his own intuition into the midst of the things described here. A few words should be said on technical matters. Many writers using English sources from the 16th and 17th centuries are fond of reproducing quotations in their original spelling, but I have not shared in this inclination. There is no point to it here, either on grounds of quaintness, which would merely be distracting, or of a scholarly exactitude that would be appropriate to a source book, which this is not. It is appropriate to reference notes, however, and in those I have used the original spelling. But, on the other hand, I have tried to be pedantic on a less conventional issue. The nuances of this book have made it seem necessary to me that I capitalize the word black, contrary to the prevailing usage when it refers to a specific people, and to put it in lowercase when I am referring to persons of that color no matter what their origin or habitat. In other words, I have written it as black, whenever it has seemed to me an exact synonym for what is meant by the less current term, Negro. As a matter of fact, there are numerous places where, to avoid ambiguity, or for other reasons, such as the fact that it was the very term being used by the authors discussed in some passages, I have used the latter word. Some readers may find it objectionable, but it was, after all, legitimate for many years, and it remains a difficult word to avoid in a history of this sort. Ronald Sanders, New York and Putney, Vermont, June 1977. Prologue. The Catalan Atlas. Hast thou perceived the breadth of the earth? Declare if thou knowest it all. From Job, chapter 38, verse 18. Our story can find its beginning with the coronation of Charles VI of France in the fall of 1381. This, as it happened, was a fairly dismal moment in French history. Charles, at 13, was king in name only, under the sway of ambitious uncles. The French popes at Avignon, after having enjoyed predominance for the better part of the century, had recently been challenged by a restored papacy in Rome.